Greetings. Today I'm going to talk about an old ghost town in Idaho we used to visit. A place called Silver City. Silver City is located in the Owyhee mountain range, which is between, well, it runs kind of along the border of Idaho and Oregon. And in about 1860 some, they discovered gold in Jordan Creek. And so they're all panning and working the creek, and they're following the gold up the creek, trying to get to the mother lode. Anyway, they got to the area now where the location of the current town, which is a ghost town. There's only 12 people that live there, and in the winter there's only one person that lives there. The ghost town is Silver City, Idaho. Stands at an elevation of over 6,000 feet. Beautiful in the summer and fall. 3, 4, 5 feet, 6 feet of snow during the winter. And I guess a few people could go in there on snow machines, but it's pretty isolated. Anyway, they were digging gold there in Jordan Creek, and the town kind of grew up around a couple of mines. There were actually two maybe major mines. One of them, I think, went up in underneath I think it's called War Chief Mountain, and the other went up the other side of the creek. And there were two large mines up there, and the population of the town was around late 1860s. It was probably around 2,500, maybe 3,000 people. There were, I think, as many as 500-600 buildings, and they had at least 10 or 12 stamp mills where they were crushing the rock, trying to get the gold, and eventually they found silver too. So it became a very large silver mine. So I'm going to tell you about Silver City, Idaho, because it's an interesting story about that place. Yeah, Silver City was one of the first areas in Idaho and in that whole area that ever had electric power. They also had telegraph. They also had one of the first communities in Idaho and Nevada and all that area to have telephones. So there's quite a few people there. A lot of buildings, a lot of old hotels and so forth. Today I think there's only about 2 businesses running. I think the hotel has a few people can stay there. They're renovating it. I think there's a tourist shop that's run by the Silver City Association. But other than that, remember, currently there's no electricity at Silver City. So everything is either propane or probably right now they're using a lot of solar power. But anyway, it's worth a day trip. It's a lot of fun to go back up in there. The roads up into Silver City are pretty rough. There's 2 ways in. One is up Jordan Creek from Jordan Valley, and then the other's from Idaho coming up that way. But they're pretty rough roads. I found the best time to visit Silver City. Well, you can go early in the spring, but actually I prefer to go in the fall. Sometimes in the spring you've got some late snow, and you actually might get blocked by snow drifts across some of the old mining roads. But boy, I'll tell you, in the fall, all those beautiful fall colors, and the weather's nice, and there's there's few bugs, and plus it's a lot cooler. Something about being in that country in the fall when it's about 70 degrees is just wonderful. I really enjoy it. Of course, one of the biggest advantages of going in the spring, especially on the road up to Silver City, is the spectacular flowers. I'm not much of a person when it comes to florists or grown flowers, but I sure love wildflowers. I love the smell, watching the bees, and it's just pretty impressive, some of the flowers up there. You have to watch out if you might run into some water running down the roads or creeks that are over the road in the spring. But spring is a good time to go. I mean, you know, I prefer the fall, but there's something about being in this country when it's all in bloom. It is just spectacular. Beautiful colors. And you want to keep watching. There's antelope, and of course there's always wild horses in the area as you drive up towards Silver City. Silver City sits in a kind of a bowl in the headwaters of Jordan Creek. And you come into town, and in the fall, you've got these beautiful fall colors. You've got, I think there are even some larch and popular trees and a few other trees that are just gorgeous. It goes golden and red. They're about, there could be as many as 50 buildings in the area. Most are in pretty poor shape, and almost all of them are all locked up, boarded up. Most of the old ghost towns in Idaho got burned up in the forest fires, and luckily this is one that the forest fires have pretty much bypassed. Plus they do have a fire truck there and a fire brigade. You can see from this picture, it's just, well, it's a pretty scenic area. Got a little bit of snow way up high early. Town sits about 6,000 feet. There's a few main roads in town that you could take cars on, and a few more that you probably need an ATV. Here's another view, kind of looking down at the main street. Some cars down there. Like I said, there are no amenities, no gas, no grocery stores. There's the old hotel. I think I got a picture of it here coming up pretty quick. Now this is a big culvert right in by Main Street, and this is the kind of towards the headwaters of Jordan Creek. I was totally fascinated. That little creek had little holes like this, and just full of brook trout. Yeah, I was just fascinated watching those little brook trout. Well, they were so small. Some of them were 6-7 inches long. Legal, I guess. But I was really surprised to find brook trout in these tiny little streams up there. Another view of the town. Fortunately, years ago they put metal roofs on these old buildings, which helped preserve them. The snow would slide off. I'm not sure what that big building is in the center there. It's the old church on the right, and I think that home on the left may be occupied. Like I said, there's about 12 people that live permanently there in the summertime, and they've reconditioned some of the houses and live in them, like cabins or summer homes. In the wintertime, there's only one person that stays there, and he's a caretaker. I noticed that the homes that people lived in, they had little side sheds. And those are the outhouses. There is no running water, there are no sewers, and there is no electricity, and there's very limited phone service. There's no wires going out, I don't think. I think cell phones would be pretty tough to pick up a signal. So once you get up in that country, you're pretty isolated, actually. From Silver City, you can head in multiple directions. Most of that country is BLM, Catalan. There are lots of gates. There is one cattle outfit up there that has closed everything off, private, don't want you to go in there. But just remember, when you go through the gates, close them behind you, because you are in cattle country, open range. The best thing to do is just drive up on the main road, and that's what most people do. They just park up there and then walk around the streets. Like I said, almost all the houses and the buildings are boarded up. You probably can't get inside. You might be able to ask someone who has a key or access to allow you inside to see what's there. This is, they've got a number of people up there that have been remodeling these old homes. Some of them have actually started working on some of the businesses, like the drugstore and the hotel and so forth. One of the fun things, though, to do is to just walk around and look at some of the old cars they have around there. Pretty impressive. There's that old truck up there I sure like to have. But anyway, there's the remains of old cars stuck in the bushes, and lots of old mining equipment. Like I said, it was a very productive silver mine, and they took gold. I think a lot of the old, really big buildings are part of the old stamp mills where they processed the silver and the gold. Anyway, it's just fun to walk around and look. You can spend a whole day up there just wandering around. Now, most people who travel the Owyhees know that once it starts raining, you kind of don't want to be on the roads in that country. It's got a strange mud, and that mud gets really slippery, and so it can be very difficult driving around in that area. Plus that mud will build up on your tires, and I guess they call it gumbo or whatever it is, but it's pretty nasty stuff. So if I've been in wet weather, I'd wait till it dried out before I drove up into that country. What's kind of fun to do in those ghost towns and old towns like that, look at the graveyards and see who's buried there and how long they were. There's three, I think at least 3 graveyards, and it's fun to look at all the graves. The other interesting too is the town had a lot of Masons. They have a Mason lodge there, one of the oldest in the whole area. A lot of Mason influence. I'm not a Mason. I don't belong to any of the animal groups or anything. I'm not that much of a social person, but I don't know that much about Masonry other than see and read, so forth. A lot of the graves had Mason markers on them, and people have said that the building that the Masons were in is haunted, and I have no idea. I don't even know if they allow you to go in it still. There's a group that kind of runs Silver City. I think it's an association for tourists, and maybe they'll let somebody in there to check out the Mason Lodge, or maybe spend a night. I don't know. Something to think about. But anyway, there's all kinds of neat graves in the area. And kind of the weirdest Mason story I know of is that one of the members of the Mason in the lodge there, he had earlier robbed a Wells Fargo stagecoach, and he got $8,000 worth of, I don't know if it was gold or silver or dollars. I have no idea, but he robbed a Wells Fargo stagecoach and got himself quite a bit of money, and I don't know if they'd ever caught him or not. One of the more interesting events is the Owyhee Wars. As I mentioned, there was a couple of mines in the area. Anyway, they were following those veins underground, tunneling all over the place, and they realized that most of the gold and silver, I believe, was in one area, one vein, and so they got fighting and squabbling, and first I guess they sued each other about who had access to that vein of silver. Then pretty quick they were shooting at each other. Now the really bizarre part about it, they didn't shoot at each other above ground. They literally had a battle going on in the mine shafts underground. that involved over 100 men shooting at each other. Eventually, a couple of guys got killed, and the authorities, I believe it was either, can't remember if Idaho was a territory or a state, but the governor, he sent the U.S. cavalry up there to put an end to the fighting. Anyway, when the military showed up and the fighting stopped, you know, they shore up those mine shafts with big timbers, you know, to shore them up. And they went around and checked all the big timbers, and they found over 1,000 bullets in the wood in that timber. So that they fired at least 1,000 rounds down there, shooting at each other underground. Must have been quite a deal with nothing but lanterns, and I don't know if they had carbide lamps by then or not, but it was in the late 1860s, early 1870s. So anyway, I guess they made peace or something, or made some kind of agreement. Somebody would dig this way and another person dig that way, but there seemed there were two different mining groups. It's called the Owyhee Wars, and you can, there's some books written about it. If you want to read them, probably check on the internet, Google it, Owyhee Wars, if you want to learn more about that battle that was fought underground. Yeah, Silver City is kind of a fun place to visit. A lot of old stories, and I bet all those buildings have a story to tell about someone's life up there. If you've got an ATV, you can take the trails that surround Silver City, up in the headwaters up there of Jordan Creek, up towards War Eagle Mountain and beyond. You can also take, there's a road, you need a four-wheel drive vehicle, but you can take the road out Jordan Creek and follow it out to out the Jordan Valley there. And also there's an active mine up there. I think it's called Delmire or Delmer or something mine. I can't remember the name of it. It's on its way out Jordan Valley there. But anyway, it's quite a place, really a nice place to visit. For a side trip, I advise going over to Owyhee Lake. Now, Owyhee Lake is an extremely beautiful place. It's a dam on the Owyhee River. The river then flows down to the Snake River. But anyway, below the dam is a very good place for brown trout fishing, I understand. Actually, I've watched them fishing and watched the brown trout rising there in the morning and the evening. I've never fished it myself, but I understand that it's kind of be pretty good because I saw some really big brown trout in there. And of course, the geology of the area is just incredible. It's nice to run over to Sitka Creek and spend some time out in the more flat open areas, and you can watch the wild horses and the antelope. I remember that a lot of the area does have, because there's a lot of game there, does have ticks and cattle and horses. So you got to watch out for ticks, and you got to watch out for those little rattlesnakes. As long as you leave them alone, they seem to leave you alone. But anyway, I hope you appreciated this little story. There's a lot of history here in the Owyees, and if you like mining and mining stories, there's some neat books out there. So anyway, I appreciate you watching my video, and pretty soon I'll put another video together and I'll have it up there. I'm not quite sure where we're going to go next time, but there's a lot more coming. So thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Till next time, bye.